So now we're moving on to the detailed section. So this is to a scale of 1 to 20, which means everything is divided by 20. And they say we must use cutting plane AA. So we're drawing this section here. We'll see the built-in cupboard and part of the window. Also, I forgot to draw in the built-in cupboard at the floor plan. So if you saw that I missed it, please just put it in. Okay, then it says here, show the complete features on the drawing, the complete foundation, external wall and window detail, the roof detail, including fascia board, gutter and rainwater items, the steps, roof, wall, and built-in cupboard detail to the right of cutting plane AA, all hatching detail, only the substructure may be hatched in neat freehand. Okay, so the first thing is they've given us the base of your section, which we know we will hatch like this. So I'm just going to start by doing that since it makes it easier. Okay, so you put dots and triangles in with your dots. Okay, just like that. Okay, then we want to get our wall measurement. So we know it will be in the middle of the 600 here. So that's 200 divided by 20 will give you 10, right? Yeah. Okay, so 10. So we know we need to find the middle section of our wall over here, or the middle place. So that's 3. So that means we have a mark of 15. There we go. That's our wall. So there's our 10. And then we're just going to draw those lines up to create our wall for now. So just bring them up quite a bit because you just never know when you might need to stop, and it's easier to draw it in now than draw it in later and mess it up. Okay, so it will look obviously like that. Okay, so now they want us to start by drawing in like the steps and our floor and everything like that. So we're going to start, let's just start with our floor ground level here. So that will give us a measurement of 22 from the bottom of this foundation up. So we are going to take our ruler and we're going to measure 22 millimeters. So that will be that over there. When we've got that measurement, we are just going to draw a dark line going across. Okay, on both sides like that. Obviously you can't make it touch your floor plan, so you're going to have to kind of stop it sort of there, and you're just going to label it ground line. And we know that the hatching that's going to be used here will obviously be your earth hatching. Okay, so I'm just going to do all my hatching in freehand, but you must do your hatching according to the question. I just want to do mine freehand because I don't feel like using a ruler. Okay, so this will be all of this hatching here, which should be at like a 45-degree angle. Okay, you can leave it at like that. Okay, so when you've got that, we want to obviously get in our step measurements. So let me just get all the measurements here so that I can make, let me just change the measurements, that's what I mean, so that we can carry on without having to stop and work out measurements. Okay, with those measurements changed, we can now do our steps. So the first thing we want to get is the full height of our steps, which is 15. So we're just going to measure 15 like that. And then step 1, the small step, is 7.5. That is 20, not 15. There we go, that's 15. Okay, then we're going to measure 7.5, but I'm just going to leave it at 7. Okay, and I just want to erase that mark because it's not supposed to be there. Okay, and then when you have those lines, what I want you to do is draw them across slightly. just like that. Okay, and then when you've done that, what I want you to do is measure your length of your steps. So going across, it's 25, and then this one is 12.5. So we're going to measure 25 going across. I'm so sorry that I keep showing you the bottom of the paper. Okay, so 25, and then 12.5 will be about there. Okay, and then all you're going to do from there is you're going to bring your lines down and down so that you get your step measurement in. And then I'm just going to draw it solid so that you can see what it will look like. So I'm going to do that quickly so that you can have a look see. Okay, and it will look like this. So the reason why we're drawing in the steps, even though they're not here, is because if you look further on in your drawing, because you'll be looking at this direction, you're seeing your steps over there. So just keep that in mind as well when drawing your drawing, because you don't need to hatch them because they're not getting hatched. Okay, I just want to get the measurements for these here so we can carry on, and then when I've done that we will carry on. Okay, so we've got all those measurements. Now what we're trying to do, because we've got our step in, is we want to make sure we get these correct measurements in. So from this line up, it's 39.5. So we're going to measure from the bottom here. Okay, going to measure 39. And then the next one for this one going up here is 44.5. So I'm just going to measure 44. And then when I've got those measurements, what I'm going to do is just bring them across my paper, like halfway through the wall line, and then all the way to the edge of your black line here that they gave you, to show where it's getting cut. In fact, all of your lines should be there. So let me just make that line here, or this line here, all the way to that edge. Okay. So the reason why is because that's a cutting line, so it needs to all touch that point. Okay. So now that we've got that, I want to split this wall line in the middle. So I'm going to quickly do that just a little way up to this point here. So there we've got our middle. And then all we're going to do is we're going to quickly draw in this here solid and like a solid line at the top there. So let's start with that solid line at the top. Okay, and the solid line at the top is your DPC. And then I'm going to just draw in this here so I can show you how it looks like. Okay, your line will look like this. And then we're going to hatch it exactly the same as how we've hatched our foundation here. So I'm just going to do that quickly. Okay, and it will look like this over here. Now we obviously have to hatch this section here, which is your triangle hatching. So what you're going to do is you're going to take 45 degrees, going to make a hatch line, and you're going to do the same on the other side. And you're going to basically do it to the end, but make sure it's not completely light like mine, like not super dark but not super light as well. So I'm going to just do that quickly. Okay, and then it's going to look like this. So now we're going to want to move up to get to the window height here. So we're going to quickly get this measurements. So divide by 20. Which is 10.2. 10.25, but 10.2 will work. So from this line here, we're going to measure 10.2 going up. So we're going to stick our ruler here. And we're just going to measure 10.2 up. And then when we've got that line, we're just going to make a solid line going across like that. And then which window are we cutting through here? We're cutting through window 2. So we want to get the height of window 2, which is not 18 because we need to divide by 20. So we're going to say 900 divided by 20. That gives us 45. So from this length, we are going to measure 45 going down. So you're going to take your 45 measurements. Okay, from that top there, so there's 45 all the way down to length over here, and then you're just going to make a line like that, okay, at the bottom there, and then you're going to bring up your middle line just a little bit above the line that you've made, because we're going to need it for the lintel. Okay, that is so skew, my goodness, let me fix that. Okay, so it'll be in the middle, and then it says here, ooh, where is it now? 80 by 200 millimeter lintels above all openings. So when you divide that by 20, you'll have 4 and 10. So 10 is obviously across, so that means we're going to have 4 going up. You're going to draw that line across, and then, ooh, why is that super blurry? Okay, oh my goodness. Okay, oh, I think I'm going to do this, then I'll stop here for today and continue tomorrow where the lighting's better, because this is frustrating. So there you measure 4. And then what I'm going to do is draw it in, show you what it will look like, and then I'll carry on tomorrow so you won't be stopped by this. But yeah, so let me do that quickly. Okay, and then your lintel hatched will look like this. So far this is what you've got. And then yeah, like I say, I'll continue tomorrow, but you'll still see everything. So then we'll carry on with the window. Okay, so now we're going to move on and finish our window over here. So we've obviously got our height of the window in, so we obviously still need to do our windowsill over here, but we still need to do our window in the middle. So with the middle bit, what you're going to do is you're going to take your ruler and you're going to make a halfway line going through this line here. So just like a light little halfway construction line going through there. So I'm going to do that quickly. All right, and when you've done that, you're going to take your ruler and you're going to measure about 1 millimeter on each side, just like that. And you're going to make solid lines going down the side here, on each side of these lines and at the edge here. So I'm going to do that quickly so that you can see what it will look like. Okay, now that we've got this, we are going to just erase that little section there, and we're going to make a little line for our windowsill. I honestly just like guess it, to be honest with you. So that's, I'm going to just do that. But if you want to do it the correct way, your measurements will obviously be on your paper. But I'm just going to make part of the sill, and then underneath that sill, I'm going to draw from your halfway point a little cement section over there. So I'm going to draw it in so that you can see what it will look like. Okay, so it will look like that when you're done. So far, this is what you should have. So now, because we want to move on to get this sort of wall finish so that we can get our roof in, I just want to quickly get this measurement. Okay, 120 at this point over here. So we're going to measure 120 up to that point. We're going to draw basically this line in here, and we're going to essentially leave in space for our roof. So you can just draw that up, but don't cut it off yet, because we can obviously use our roof notes to figure out how high that's going to be. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly do that, and then we'll continue. Okay, and then obviously it will just be like that, so you can see I've left that side up. So the first thing we're going to need to get is the wall plates, which will be this little thing sliding in here. So let's divide by 20, so that will give us 2. And then obviously the other side of the wall plate will basically fit into our wall, because it has to. Okay, so that's 5.7 and that's 2. I don't know why I wrote 20. Okay, so halfway through here, we're going to measure our 2 up. We're basically just going to make like a solid little rectangle in there. So I'm going to do that quickly, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's done after you've X'd it, and that's your wall plate. Okay, once you're done, it should look like that. So now all you're going to do is, in solid lines, you're going to line it up with your wall plate. Okay, and you're going to draw those lines all the way to the edge line over there. And then what you're going to do is do the same with the top line as well. Okay, and then when you've done that, you're going to put in your purlins. Is it your purlins? Okay, let me just see if I can find the note first and then we'll continue. Okay, it's not your purlins, it's your branding strips. Okay, so they tell you it's 40 by 40, so that's 2 by 2 at 450 meters. So basically, 450 millimeters, sorry. So basically what that tells you, so that will be 22.5, is that the gap between the purlins that you, or the branding that you're going to do will be 22. So I'm going to just start with my branding strip over here. 2 by 2, so obviously we know this line's already 2, so we can start there. So I'm going to draw that in, exit, and then we're going to basically continue to the rest. So I just want to show you that quickly. Okay, so there it is. Just make sure yours is a little bit neater. And then once you've got that point, you're going to measure 22. You can measure 22.5, but to me it just seems a bit silly. And then you're basically just going to repeat till the end of that line over there. So I'm going to do that quickly. Okay, and it looks like this. So what we could do is we could do the roof, but I think let's do the cupboard so long because it says fit to ceiling, and now that we've got our ceiling fit, it makes sense to do it. So the first thing I want to do obviously is grab this measurement of the cupboard, the width, because they don't give it to you here, it says to fit. So we're going to get that measurement. What was the scale here? Scale 1 to 50. So we're going to times it by 50 to get our true measurement. So there we have 21, or it's supposed to probably be 22 actually. Okay, so 22 times 50, which will give us our complete measurement. So now we're going to say divide by 20 to get our measurement that we're going to use. So that's 55. I'm just going to put there 55. So from the wall all the way to 55, you're going to draw in your cupboard. Okay, you're going to just draw in like a solid line here and a solid line here. So I'm going to just do that quickly so that you can see what it will look like. Alright, so it will look like this, and then you'll just see that I did make this line here solid because it's in line with this one here. I haven't done this side yet because obviously I want to get our roof in before I do that. Okay, so now to continue with our cupboard. It's going to be really easy to draw, and I don't think I'm going to explain everything. Obviously, you know, you're going to halve it, so you're going to take 55 divided by 2 to get your halfway measurement, and you're just going to divide all of these by 20, get your measurement, and then draw everything in accordingly. So I'm not going to explain it, I'm just going to draw it in, and you should do it as well, but I will show you what it should look like when it's done. Okay, and your cupboard should be at the side like this. Don't freehand these like I did. You must use your actual measurements. I'm using the diameter that they've given you, but I'm just not going to do that because I just don't see the points. Obviously do it when you're doing this for marks, but because I'm just explaining it to you, I'm not going to obviously go through the nitty-gritties of it. Okay, so I'm not saying please do it in your paper. Please don't leave it out. Okay, so now we want to get the rest of our roof in. So we've got our cupboard, we want to get our roof in so that we can get the rest of the drawing done. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change all of our measurements here to divide by 20, and once we've done all of that, we'll continue. Okay, once you've changed all your measurements, we'll continue. So the first thing we want to do is we know the roof pitch is 20 degrees, so you're going to go to the edge of your wall plate here. You're going to make a mark at 20 degrees, so that's this point here. Okay, and then you're going to line your ruler up with that point that you've made, and you're going to just draw. Where did I put that point now? Okay, but let's say the point's here because I'm going to have to redo it. You're going to basically just draw your line to that point, right? Just like a light little construction line, and do a bit of an overhang as well. Okay, so once you've done that, we'll continue. All right, so once you've got that line, it should look like this. Now they say to us there's a 300 millimeter overhang, so that will become 15. So from where it sticks out, you're basically going to measure 15. So about here, so where your overhang will be. Okay, and then you're going to draw like a light construction line going up, and then we're going to measure all our bits and pieces so long. Okay, when you've got that line, we're going to look here. They say the roof trusses have a measurement of 5.7. So this is the change measurements times 2. So here you're going to measure about 6. Because obviously you're 5.7. So it'll be about here. Okay. And you can do it at this edge point over here as well. Okay. And then you can basically draw this in solids. I'm going to draw it in so that you can see what it will look like. Okay, when you're done, it should look like this. So you'll notice that I skipped here where the wall will be, and that I drew another line of 6 here at the bottom. That's because of our roof given over here. Okay, so now we obviously want to get the purlins now. Okay, so because the corrugated roof is on the purlins, so they give us the purlin measurements, which I've changed over here, and they tell us how far apart they are, and that's given over here. Okay, same with your ceiling board, which I missed explaining to you the first time, but anyways, so from there you're basically going to draw your little purlin here. Okay, so I'm going to draw that in so that you can see what it will look like. You're going to basically draw them at those spaces up like that, almost like what you've done with your ceiling board. And then when you've done that, we're going to lay the corrugated sheet at the top. So let me just draw it in at least 1 or 2 so that you can see what I mean. And then I'm going to let you finish the rest by yourself. Okay, so basically you're going to draw it in like this, flat on this line here, not at an angle. So you see like that. Then you're going to measure, so you had 1080 divided by 20 would have been 54, so you would have measured 54, then you would have drawn the next one. Obviously you can't measure 54 from that point. And once you've got that, we're going to draw a line like over those two, and we're going to draw a little bit of an overhang. Okay, and once we've got that little bit of an overhang, we're going to draw in our sheet. So I'm going to just draw that so you can see what I mean. Okay, and it will look like this. And then from there, because it says a 300 millimeter, which becomes 1.5, I'm just going to make it 2 so that you can see. You're going to measure 2 up and then draw a line basically back that way. And then this will obviously all be solid. So I'm going to draw that so that you can see what I mean. Okay, when it's done, it should look like this. Then obviously we have to finish off our wall. So we're going to bring our ruler here where the roof finish touches. We're going to draw our wall up there, straight line across, and we're going to basically just make the rest of the wall solid, and then we're going to hatch it. So I'm going to do that quickly. Okay, when you're done, it should look like this. Now there's 3 more things we need to do, and that is we need to put our fascia board. So that's this over here. Okay, so our fascia board and our gutters and the rainwater downpipe. Okay, so where did they give us? They give it here somewhere on the sheet, I'm sure. Here they are. They give us the rainwater fittings. Okay, so with this overhang here, it's actually supposed to be the width of the fascia board, which will be 1 millimeter. So we'll have to change that. And the length of the fascia board will be 12.5. So we're going to draw from underneath here 1. So measurement of 1, and that will obviously be the same length as that, or just a little bit of an overhang. And then we're going to measure 12. So I'm going to draw it in so that you can see what I mean. Okay, there's your board. Just make sure you don't have double lines there like I do. It doesn't look nice. It's not supposed to be there. And then don't forget to put your DPC by your window. So now we're going to do the rainwater items. So you're basically going to change these measurements and draw them according to your drawing. So I'm not going to go through it with you because they pretty much give you all the measurements you need and how to draw it. So just change the measurements, draw it in so it will be next to your fascia board underneath here, so where you'll start it. And then from there, just carry on drawing it in. And then once we've done that, we'll continue. All right, and once you've drawn it in, it will basically look like this. And that's everything. So it's quite easy, but the only thing is it's just a lot of work. So I know that's where it gets caught up. And sometimes there's so many measurements, you don't know where to start. So when you're done, your whole paper will look like this. It takes so long, but yeah, it is quite tedious, but as soon as it's done, it looks really cool. Okay, so thank you for watching. I hope this helped you. I will do the paper 2 soon because I know a few people have been asking, and then I'll upload it sort of in this week.